got this shit knocking on.
Welcome everybody to episode 2 of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon, and today we'll be doing the recap of Total Bellas and NXT as we did last week. But this week we will be previewing the June 9th Dominion card for New Japan, a very big card, possibly the best wrestling show of the year. And I'll talk about all those matches and my expectations for all those matches. But first, let's get into Total Bellas recap. We talked a little bit about it last week. They teased John Cena and Nikki Bella splitting up. They were going up to Napa Valley in my case, to set up the wedding where they're going to put it out and all that other stuff. They're going to put some down payments, but then Nikki, thinking about that she really wants kids right after Birdie had it and now her brother is having a second child, she really is dead set on having kids, but John Cena is not set on having kids. Hasn't really been explained why Cena doesn't want any kids, but you know, if he doesn't want kids, that's his prerogative, that's up to him, and that's Nikki should respect that, and she did. So they've gone their separate ways. So basically the whole episode was Nikki putting on the brave face, not telling a whole lot of people. She just kind of kept it in her inner circle. She only told like Bree and Daniel, her mom, her brother, and stuff like that. But one of the more interesting things was that this all took place around early January, I suspect, because unless we all know Total Bellas might be a little bit of a work, and they might manipulate some of the truth, so we don't exactly know when. We don't have time dates and everything for when all these things take place. But the story of the episode was that this took place before the Raw 25th anniversary show and the Royal Rumble, so it kind of put a damper on Nikki because she has to possibly see John Cena again. She has to put on this brave face because she doesn't want news getting out. But eventually the news is going to have to get out because it was kind of well known that they were going to have a Cinco de Mayo wedding. So they get to the 21st anniversary of Raw, and they have John Cena and Nikki Bella come together. They have a nice little talk. They hug, and then John Cena tells the cameras to go away because they can have some more intimate conversation. They didn't have sex or anything like that, but of course the microphones were still on, so we could still hear them, even though we can see them, and that was basically like the whole point of the entire episode, was just the fallout of the Nikki John Cena breakup. It was so hard to watch, so emotional. Poor Nikki crying like the entire time. She has to put up a brave face, and so Total Bellas ratings have not been very good this year. Apparently the last 2 weeks, or the first 2 weeks of this season, have been the lowest rated episodes of the entire series. Obviously, Game 2 of the NBA Finals went on Sunday, so I don't know how much of a crossover of audiences that watch Total Bellas and would watch the NBA Finals, but the NBA Finals has been getting a lot of good viewership lately, and I know I was watching the NBA Finals live instead of watching Total Bellas, because there's the DVR, and you just go back and watch it later. So that's it for the Total Bellas recap. Nothing more to really say, but on the next episode, they're teasing the Royal Rumble, more John Cena, Nikki Bella fallout, and stuff like that. So let's jump into actual wrestling, and let's get into the NXT report. Shayna Bayzler came out. Of course, last week, Shayna Bayzler had her match with Dakota Kai, then Nikki Cross came out, fake beat her for the NXT Women's Championship, stole her title, ran away with it, and nice to see Shayna Bayzler got the title back. She comes out, she cuts a promo, she's just in regular street clothes, doesn't look like she's going to have a fight or have a match. She starts talking about Nikki Cross, and Nikki Cross comes out, they have a showdown. Nikki Cross, believable babyface to go up against Shayna Bayzler. Shayna Bayzler is the MMA badass who's just been destroying everybody in her path, and Nikki Cross is kind of the unhinged, not want to say lunatic to draw comparisons to Dean Ambrose, but she's probably even crazier than Dean Ambrose is, and it's a believable feud. I really like this. I don't think Nikki Cross is going to win. Hopefully this means this is kind of Nikki Cross's last hurrah, and then finally we get a sanity call-up, because they got drafted to SmackDown, and it's been, I don't know, 2 months since the draft happened, and we still haven't seen them. We saw like one promo of them, and that was it. They just disappeared. Nikki Cross kind of stares her down, saying, in her crazy talk that she wants Shayna to attack her, and then Shayna doesn't, and then Nikki Cross kind of gives her a pump fake, and Shayna drops the title, and then Nikki steals it from her. So we do a little bit more of that, where Nikki Cross steals Shayna Baszler's title, but then in the end, Shayna gets it back. Let's see. So yeah, there was some physicality between the two. Nikki Cross was able to get the better of her. I think something happened with Shayna Baszler's lip or her mouth. I didn't exactly see what happened there, but she had a bloody lip and some blood coming out. Not the first instance of blood, or not the last instance of blood we will see on this show. We will get to that a little bit later. But I thought it was a good start to the show. I didn't really like Shayna Baszler's promo ability, but obviously it's NXT. You don't want to baby them too much. Like Aleister Black, I don't think he did a very good job in terms of his promo last week. But you just got to throw him out there, tell him to do it, and if he doesn't do the best job, in this week he had a more traditional, what we noticed from him, more of a not a backstage, but kind of a hyped up video package type promo that he had. Shayna Baszler, it was all right. It wasn't like the best. It wasn't I didn't think it was very believable. I felt like she was like acting a little too much. She was going through the lines a little bit too robotically. She was I felt like she was trying, kind of like what Nia Jax was when she was a monster heel back in the day. I felt like Shayna was just she was trying too hard to be mean, so it just didn't come across as believable. But when it comes to the in-ring aspect, Shayna Baszler got it down. She has the facial expression. She has the swagger of a heel, a badass person who just knows she's the best, and she's going to come in there and just beat everybody. Not to say that it was bad by any means, but it's not like perfect. So there's still room to work with, but she has done worse. So she's getting better, so that's always a good sign to see with NXT. So we have the first match of the show. We have TM61 going up against Mike Hubley and Robbie Grand. This was basically a squash match for TM61. They win in a couple minutes. After the match, TM61 get on the mic, and they basically change their names to the Mighty. So instead of TM61, they go to the Mighty. Me personally, I know it's just the first week, so I don't really like the name, the Mighty. I feel like it's kind of weird. I honestly don't even know what TM61 stands for, what it means. Maybe this means the Mighty Six. I don't even know. If I was an actual good journalist, I would look up TM61 and try to find out what it means. Kind of like CM Punk, it means Chick Magnet Punk. We all know that. I knew that before the trial even started. Apparently that was big news that CM stands for Chick Magnet, but he said that in his documentary for WWE a while back. But TM61, I kind of like it just because it's a weird name. It's just they throw together letters and numbers together. Kind of has a nice flow to it. The Mighty, it's I think it's kind of a corny name, to be honest. But TM61 have turned heel. They're, I think they're a lot better as heels. They have a nice swagger to them. Their promo ability is pretty good. They got the Australian accent, which always kind of helps to differentiate them from other people on the roster. So hopefully they get a push, and hopefully we can get a TM61 versus Undisputed Era, maybe Undisputed Era feud, because I think eventually the Undisputed Era, they're heels, but everybody loves them, so maybe eventually they'll get maybe we'll get a nice heel match between the two of them, and we all know Undisputed Era will be the baby faces in that match. So on to the next match. Speaking of the Undisputed Era, we have Roderick Strong going up against Danny Burch. Strong and Burch had a good back and forth for a long time. This match ultimately went 5.5 minutes, or 5 minutes 43 seconds. So not a super long match, not the main event, so didn't expect too much from this. But in the end, the Undisputed Era comes out. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, the healthy ones, come out. and try to attack Danny Burch from behind, but then Pete Dunne and Danny Burch's name? Oney Lorcan. There we go. They come out to make the save. They kind of go back and forth and attack them to kind of eat up the odds. And then Danny Burch has Roderick Strong in a submission hold, and he has him dead in the middle of the ring. It looks like Roderick Strong's going to tap out, and like an idiot, Danny Burch takes off the submission hold to go attack Adam Cole, who's on the ring apron, because Adam Cole's yelling at him. I think this made Danny Burch look like an idiot. I thought Roderick Strong was going to tap out. He had the submission on him for like a good 15 seconds. If he held on for, I don't know, maybe 5-10 more seconds, Roderick Strong probably would have tapped out. And if Adam Cole does attack him, he's going to win the match by disqualification. So this is kind of a WWE thing where they have the heels go up and kind of distract the babyface while the babyface is just about to win, and it just makes the babyface look like an idiot. And I thought this was another instance here where they try to get the screwy finish of Adam Cole helping to get Roderick Strong. So in the end, Danny Burch goes to attack Adam Cole. Roderick Strong rolls him or hits him with his backbreaker finisher, pins him, and Roderick Strong wins. But as I said, I just didn't like the finish. I thought it made Danny Burch look like an idiot. I thought if you're going to do a distraction finish, I bet it would have been a lot better, especially with all the people involved. You could have had Oney Lorcan and Pete Dunne kind of be on the opposite end of the ring, have the referee distracted by them, and then that's when Adam Cole distracts Danny Burch by touching him or kind of, I don't know, doing something to where Danny Burch just doesn't look like a complete idiot, where he's like a cat with a laser. I don't know how many ways I can say. It was fucking stupid. There you go. My first swear of the show. So, before the match, we had a recap of what happened last week between Aleister Black and Lars Sullivan. Aleister Black cut a little promo. He had some candles, and he talked about how he's gonna win the championship just because Lars might be a big dude, but once he hits the once he hits the black mask kick, everyone fades to black. Good little promo, kind of builds up his character as kind of being a vampire type thing. He was kind of in the dark with a bunch of candles around him. So I thought that was good. Backstage, Cassius Ohno was doing poses for pictures. He had his robe on, just doing a bunch of different things. We didn't have any reason for why they were filming him. But then, of course, out of nowhere, EC3 shows up and says that he's in the top 1%. And for some reason, I don't know if EC3 just went to the tanning booth or something, but he looked orange. He looked way too tan. I don't know if it was a mixture between the tan and the lighting, but EC3 was like almost black. That's how dark he was. So they go back and forth. EC3 and Cassius Ohno have a little bit of a spar of words, you might say. And this sets up a match next week on NXT television, not on the TakeOver show, between Cassius Ohno and EC3. I think this is going to be a good match. I love Cassius Ohno. I think he's so underutilized in NXT. I know he gets the beer gut. He's fat, but I think in the ring he's great. He's a good babyface. Could be a good heel as well. So maybe right now he's a babyface. Maybe if he turns heel, eventually he can get sort of a push, because sometimes, like we got Kevin Owens, when you're a heel, sometimes your physique doesn't mean all that much as long as you're just kicking ass and taking names. And Cassius Ohno, I think he should be in a better spot, because, I've seen him on the indie scene, I've seen him in NXT, and I think he's so much better than what he's been used as. Hopefully he can do something. I think this is a good way to have a nice little main event before NXT TakeOver. NXT TakeOver, I'm not going to say it's stacked, but they have a lot of matches on the card already, so I think putting this on the NXT card, on the NXT TakeOver show, would kind of bloat it up a little too much, kind of keep the nice 2 to 2.5 hour time that they've been having the past couple TakeOvers. And I think this is a good big match for EC3. Probably is, I know he's in the ladder match, but a big singles match between him and Ohno, I feel is the better wrestler out of the two, and I think hopefully they can. I assume this is going to be the main event, so I think they're going to have a lot of time on the show to have it breathe, because it will be the go-home show next week, so Aleister Black will cut a promo. We might have one or two other angles, but I think this is going to be the the main point of this show. Just a nice, long, maybe 15-minute match between the two. I fully expect EC3 to win. Cassius Ohno, as I said, has not been doing anything. It was just kind of a random sighting of him taking pictures, and then EC3 shows up, makes fun of him, and it sets up the match. So, we'll see what happens there. Another video package to set up an NXT TakeOver match. We had Ricochet and Velveteen Dream. Each of them were doing their own sit-down interviews, and they were talking about the matches. They were going back and forth. Dream, I don't know what the hell he was wearing, but he had he had a headdress on. He had his glasses. He had he looked fabulous, but. A good sit-down interview from both of them. Really builds up the match. They acknowledged the Patrick Clark that was on Tough Enough, how he got cut, but then he was still able to get a contract with WWE. They had some really good footage of Ricochet in Evolve and WWN and all that other stuff. So really putting over the fact that Ricochet has world travels. Obviously, they're not going to use stuff from from New Japan, PWG, and stuff like that. But from what the footage they did have, we didn't see a whole lot of high spots. We just kind of saw him with the title, with him celebrating. So it really puts over the fact that Ricochet is a big deal. He's a champion. He's been champion at other places, and his main goal is to be a champion in NXT. But for right now, he has to go through the Velveteen Dream because they've had their differences. So I thought this was a really good video package to set up the NXT TakeOver match. I wish WWE did more of these video packages, because just having people stand in the middle of the ring for 10 minutes and talking, it kind of gets boring. Just having a nice 5-minute video package with highlights in the background and having them getting over their one-liners and just having a normal conversation with the interviewer is a good way to build up the match. So we have the Kairi Sane versus Lacey Evans. Last week we talked about Lacey Evans cutting the promo saying that she has a woman's right, which is her right hand, her finishing maneuver, kind of like the Big Show's KO punch. She has Kairi's name written on it. And Lacey Evans comes out, has Kairi's name on her right hand, and that was kind of the big story of the match. Lacey Evans, the heel in the situation, put a lot of heat on Kairi for most of the match. The match only went on, let me see, are we going to have a time? Of course there's no time on here when I want to bring up the time, but it is what it is. It was kind of a short match. I probably would say it was definitely under 10 minutes, probably between 5 and 7 minutes, but Lacey Evans was in control for most of the match, and then Kairi fired up, made a comeback, beat up Lacey, hit her with that beautiful-looking elbow drop for the win. So Kairi, obviously, she's going to get some comparisons to Asuka. She is not an Asuka level, not a talent. She's not an Asuka-type character where she's going to be just running through everybody. She's the unstoppable force. I would more compare her to Bayley, to where she's, lovable. She's going to get heat put on her. She's going to get beat up for a lot of the match. But when she gets fired up, take her seriously, because she's going to whoop some ass. And that's exactly what Kairi did here. Oh, there it is. I found the 6 minutes, 30 seconds. So there you go. I said in between 5 and 7 minutes, right in the middle. So, I thought it was a good match. The whole story was that they were one apiece, and this was the rubber match. Kairi won. So I thought it did good for both people. Obviously, Lacey Evans, I don't really see her as much of a big deal in the women's division, but I think she's kind of a nice stepping stone for Kairi, possibly going after Shayna Bayzler for the NXT Championship in the future, because obviously we know Kairi and Shayna were the finalists. Kairi won, so hopefully they can play up on that, and maybe Shayna can say that she's a different person now. She's a lot better. She was kind of not a rookie, but she's found her way since the Mae Young Classic, so I think that could be a nice feud between the two. Don't know if Kairi would end up winning the championship off of Shayna Baszler, but obviously Shayna has some bigger fish to fry if she has to go up to the main roster and gets put up with Ronda Rousey, and they had the 4 Horsewoman match, maybe at Survivor Series, maybe WrestleMania. We will have to see, but the final match of the show, or the final segment of the show, was Tommaso Ciampa coming out. No music, comes out in his shirt, his knee brace, and he sits there for a little bit, takes in the boos, people, calling him all these different things, and he cuts a promo. He talks about Johnny Gargano. He talks about, Ciampa is amazing. He just goes on being a wonderful heel. Cuts a promo, talks about how it was all Johnny's fault, about Candice LeRae getting hurt, and Johnny not being a nice guy. So that's what you want the heel to do. You want the heel to turn it on the babyface, but everyone sees through the BS and sides with the babyface. So then Johnny comes out and gets held back by security for a little bit, but Johnny beats up the security. Not the best look for Johnny Gargano, but this is obviously a blood feud, so you kind of look past it a little bit. I have no expectation of Johnny Gargano turning heel during this match, or during the match at TakeOver, but they had a good back and forth. Gargano was able to get his hands on Ciampa, but then Ciampa got away once security got onto Gargano. Ciampa jumps the guardrail, but then Gargano chases after him. They go back over the guardrail, back near the ring, and they go up on the stage where one of the first attacks after the first TakeOver match happened that put Gargano out for a long time. And Gargano gets some retribution, putting Ciampa up against the LED board and puts him in the Gargano escape, having Ciampa tap out. Ciampa has blood on his head, so a nice visual. Don't know if it was supposed to happen. I highly doubt it because NXT and WWE do not really like blood in their shows, but a good, hopefully obviously show closing angle. Probably the last we'll see of this feud. In terms of build-up, I don't really think they need any more build-up. I'm not going to say I'm tired of it, but I think it's kind of run its course. I'm ready for the match. I want to see it be a blow-off. I want to see Gargano take Ciampa's head off, and hopefully Johnny can either go after the NXT Championship or he goes on to the main roster. But obviously this is a blood feud, and I really hope this match delivers in the NXT TakeOver show. I don't think it'll main event because I feel like the first one was such a big deal. It was so hot. I feel like this match is hot as well, but I feel that the NXT Championship match should main event, I guess, but it's like not a marquee main event in terms of Lars Sullivan going up against Aleister Black. They'll probably put on a good match, but I mean, maybe this could be the chance where they put on Shayna Bayzler and Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross has been getting a lot good reactions at the NXT tapings lately. Shayna Bayzler, a good heel. They haven't really built it up as a main event match rather, but if I would put money on it, I would probably say they'd make Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa the main event, just because it might be the hottest thing they have going, but I'm always on the fence, and I'm always gonna side with the championship. If both matches are even, I'll always go with the championship because I feel like the championship should be held at a high standard. So yeah, so on to what is quite possibly the best show. I'm gonna go on record right now. It's gonna be the best show of the year. Dominion, New Japan, June 9th in Osaka-jo Hall. Let's run down the entire card. Obviously, some of the lower matches I'm not familiar. I mean, I know everybody on the card. I'm not going to go over the lower matches in great detail, but definitely the top 3 matches are going to be must-see matches. I highly recommend getting New Japan World. I know sometimes you can go on YouTube and like right after it happens, people upload it, so you got to be quick with that. But be good people. New Japan is a good company. They put on great shows, and I definitely think this show is going to be worth the $9.99 yen, whatever the conversion rate that turns out to be. It usually is under $10, so New Japan World is usually cheaper than the WWE Network, and I highly suggest you do that. If you only can pick one, I say if it goes between Money in the Bank and Dominion, I say New Japan Dominion will be by far the better show. So let's jump right into it. We got the IWGP Junior Tag Titles. We got El Desperado versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru going up against Roppongi 3K. Don't really know much about the feud going on right now. The IWGP Junior Tag Titles are just kind of getting floated back and forth. Hot potato, and the Young Bucks are not in the Junior Tag Division anymore. They are going up and facing for the Big Boy Tag Team Championship. So no more Young Bucks in the Junior Tag Team Division. Roppongi 3K is kind of the big deal right now, so I'm going to go with Roppongi 3K to capture the Junior Tag titles, but it is what it is. I'm it'd probably be a nice, decent match. But obviously, if this match is the opener, which I suspect it will be, it's going to be high flying, maybe under 10 minutes, and yeah. So we got David Finlay and Juice Robinson going up against Jay White and Yoshihashi. And I mean, just a New Japan tag team match. I'd say David Finlay and Juice Robinson. I take that back. I'm gonna go with Jay White and Yoshihashi. I'm gonna go with Jay White just because he is the U.S. champion. If something does happen, maybe Yoshihashi. I mean, this might be a way for them to build up something going into the Cow Palace show. Since Jay White is the U.S. champion, I suspect he will have some sort of match to defend the title there. And if something does happen, maybe they pin Yoshihashi for the win. I don't think they're going to pin Jay White, but you never know. But Jay White and Yoshihashi for the win. But the more I look at it, Yoshihashi is kind of the odd man out in terms of all four of those competitors. So I would be surprised if Finlay and Robinson pin Yoshi for the victory. So on next, we have another tag team match. We have Tomohiro Ishii going up against Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano going up against Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. I like three of the people in this. Toru Yano, he's a funny guy. He does his stuff. I really hope Minoru Suzuki just beats the ever-living shit out of Toru Yano, because watching Minoru Suzuki beat people up, it's amazing. Seeing him beat up young boys, seeing him beat up Yano, it would be great. I'm going with Suzuki and Sabre Jr. for the win here. Probably Zack Sabre Jr. will stretch Yano and make him tap out. Yeah. So on to the never open weight title. Got Hiroki Goto versus Michael Elgin versus Tai Chi. So a triple threat match for the never open weight title. Goto is the champion going in. Don't really know much. I'll go with Goto to retain the championship for the hell of it, but I don't know if they would have Elgin win just because of going into the Cow Palace show. No matches have been announced for this Cow Palace show, so I'm hoping after Osaka, and then after some of the other shows that they kind of fill out the card, because right now there's a lot of tickets still available for that Cow Palace show. I've looked maybe a week or two ago. Everything, like half the lower bowl, just the entire lower bowl or half the lower bowl is just full of tickets that you can buy right now. So I'll go with Goto to retain. It's going to be a hard-hitting match, of course. Don't expect much, but just someone's going to get their head kicked off or something, or clotheslined, and a lot of chops. Probably a lot of chops will happen in this match. So on, as I alluded to, the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Evil and Sonata going up against the Young Bucks. This is the Young Bucks' first time in the heavyweight division challenging for the tag team titles. As much as we want the Young Bucks to win, we love the Young Bucks. This is the thing with New Japan booking. You can go either way. You can talk yourself into either. There's no real, I thought Naito was destined to win that championship at Wrestle Kingdom. He didn't. So, as much as you think you know with New Japan, sometimes they pull the rug out from under you. Not in a bad way, but sometimes they go the unconventional route, and sometimes you think it's someone's time to get the championship. Not saying it's the Young Bucks' time, because they just showed up. Maybe they can tell a nice story of the Young Bucks. They've gotten bigger, they've bulked up a little bit. Maybe they can tell the story of the Young Bucks almost getting there and falling quite short. Maybe they have another match at the Cow Palace. I don't know. But Evil and Sonata, I will go with them to retain the IWGP Tag Team Championships. So yeah. So onwards, we have a big six-man tag match. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi, Rey Mysterio, and Jushin Thunder Liger going up against the Bullet Club and Cody, Marty Scurll, and Hangman Page. This should be a fun match with Rey Mysterio, setting up a feud that he had with Marty Scurll at the Long Beach show last month, or 2 months ago at this point, I don't even know. But anyways, I think it'll be a fun match. They got a lot of old guys on one side, the young guys on the other side, so I highly expect the Bullet Club to do a lot of the work. Tanahashi's hurt, Rey Mysterio is Rey Mysterio, and he's old. Jushin Liger is old too, but all three of the old guys can still go, so I highly suspect this will be a fun match. Don't expect a lot in terms of high flying and stuff like that. Maybe, one Liger bomb and a 619 and stuff like that. But I'm going to go with the baby faces, the old men baby faces, to win this match with Tanahashi, Mysterio, and Jushin Liger. If I were to pick someone to eat the pin, maybe Hangman Page, just because I feel like out of the three, he might be the weakest in terms of New Japan. So sometimes that's always what happens. There's the odd man out. He always gets the pin. But Marty Scurll isn't doing anything at the moment in terms. He was just on the Best Super Juniors. Cody, Cody is also kind of one of those guys. He's big in ROH. He's big in the United States, but he's not really that big of a deal in New Japan. So I would, if I'm pick someone to eat the pin, I'm going to go with Hangman Page on this one. So now, these last three matches, all three of these matches right here coming up can easily be the best match of the show, possibly best match of the year. And at the end, I will pick which one I feel like is going to be the best match. So let's jump right into it. We have the top three singles championships in New Japan, starting off with Will Ospreay going up against the Best of the Super Juniors winner. So if you haven't seen that, push pause and watch that, because the match between Takahashi and Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori was amazing. I think they got like 6 stars on Dave Meltzer's ratings or something like that. But anyways, the match between them two was amazing. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, but Hiromu Takahashi wins. He is the Best Super Juniors 25 champion, winner. I'll go with winner. And he faces Will Ospreay for the IWGP Junior Championship. And this match might be the best match on the show, just because Ospreay and Takahashi will do some crazy stuff, and they will be doing athletic stuff. It's not going to go on really long like we know the Okada and Omega match might. But if I'm going to go with somebody, I'm going to go with Hiromu to win. They have the story built into where Takahashi has gone through the ringer on the Best of Super Juniors thing. Will Ospreay was also in the tournament as well, but Takahashi won the whole thing. Having those extra 2 matches in the semifinals and the finals can do a lot. Went through hell with Ishimori. I'm going to say Takahashi pulls it out and wins the IWGP Junior Championship. And then next up, we have the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Possibly the biggest match of the show? I don't know. I don't really have a gauge on how the internet's feeling between this match and the main event. But we have Tetsuya Naito, the IC champion, going up against Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho, we've seen him do, he's kind of been, every time he does something in New Japan, he's kind of been my promo pick of the week. He did another promo at this Best of Super Juniors. He sent in a selfie video talking about how Naito ain't shit. That's basically Jericho's gimmick right now. He called himself Chris Swearico because all he does is curse, because he's in New Japan and he can do stuff like that. And Naito's gimmick is kind of like he's been no-selling the whole thing, and that's kind of what Naito does. He's too cool for school, tranquilo and all that other stuff. But I expect this to be a really good match. The Kenny Omega Chris Jericho match I thought was the best match of the show. I can expect Naito and Chris Jericho to have the best story in the match. Naito being the babyface, Chris Jericho being the heel. But it all depends on what Chris Jericho's doing with WWE, what he's doing with Fozzy, what he's doing outside the company. Don't be shocked if Jericho wins the IC championship. Jericho, the whole story has kind of been Jericho kind of saying he's the big dog. He's a big deal. He's a superstar all over the world, and Naito is just this little guy from Japan, and he's going to make him somebody. And Jericho main evented the Tokyo Dome with Kenny Omega, and Naito was just the semi-main. And even though he might have been the last match, that didn't mean he was the biggest match on the show, and that eats Naito alive because of what happened last time he was supposed to main event the Tokyo Dome. It got taken away from him between Nakamura and Tanahashi. So, this match is going to be great. I expect it to go at least 20 plus minutes. Will it be better than Jericho and Omega? I don't think so, just because they don't have the stipulation of no disqualification. But that is kind of the thing in New Japan. Nobody ever gets disqualified, even though they do just things that deserve to be disqualified, like using chairs and throwing people on the outside, and like in the Takahashi Ishimori match, they were like they were fighting the bleachers for like a good 5 minutes, and nobody got counted out, nobody got disqualified or anything like that. So that's kind of the one downfall in New Japan, is they're very lenient with the rules. They have rules, and they don't really enforce them all that much. But I'm going to go with Chris Jericho to win the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. So hopefully that happens. And next up we have the main event. The IWGP Heavyweight Championship will be defended in 2 out of 3 falls, no time limit. Kazuchika Okada, the longest reigning IWGP Heavyweight Champion, up against Kenny Omega, the man who has tried many times for the championship and has fell short. So last year we had the epic 3-match series. Obviously, they had the 1 win for Okada, the 1 win for Omega in the G1, and the tie that happened at Dominion last year. So all tying in, we will have no time limit, 2 out of 3 falls, kind of to settle the score. I think this is going to be a very ambitious match. Everyone's talking about how long they're going to go. What are they going to do? Is it going to be an hour? Is it going to be 90 minutes? Like, should this match go on first and they just go on for 3 hours? And God knows, I mean, as intriguing as that would be to see what they would do to keep the crowd into it, I do not think that's going to happen. So, with what they're trying to do of having a super long match, I hope they keep it under 90 minutes. I mean, I expect it to be under 90 minutes. I don't think they're going to go be that crazy and think that they can have that type of match and keep the crowd into it. But I do think they're going to go over 60 minutes just because they want to have that little notch in their belt to saying they went over the 60-minute time limit. Because what's the whole point of having no time limit if you're not going to go over the time limit? Especially with what they did last year with Dominion, which possibly might have been their best match in terms of storytelling. Okada and Omega going the draw. Okada was going to probably win that match if it was a 65-minute time limit and no time limit at all. And will this match be better than the 3 they had last year? I think it probably will be better than the G1 match they had last year, but all 3 of those matches they had last year were so different because the first one was the epic that went like 45, 50 minutes, Okada won. Then the next one was a draw. Then the next one was under 30 minutes, and Omega won that. So all 3 of them were kind of different matches. They all told different stories, which made the series so great. And this one, they're trying to do something that's never been done before, really. Just 2 out of 3 falls, no time limit, and we all know what they're trying to do. We all seen being the Elite Series, Kenny Omega with the Young Bucks. They're kind of having their differences. Kenny's saying that he'll text or call the Young Bucks after Dominion, so hopefully that the Elite will finally get back together. Maybe there might be an angle going on in the match where Omega is on the ropes, possibly going to lose, and the Young Bucks come out and try to help him, and Omega says no, and that leads to Omega losing. Hopefully they don't do something like that to where it's like a distraction finish, as I talked about in the NXT. I don't like distraction finishes all that much, but I think Okada is going to retain just because they've been building him up so strongly. And if he wins, he will be the longest reigning Japanese champion of all time from all the major companies, New Japan, All Japan, Noah, everything. I think it's going to take like maybe a month or a couple weeks until he passes the person to hold that title. But of course, Omega having something different, this has been the big rivalry lately, and Okada has practically beaten everybody. He's beat Kenny twice, or he beat him once already. Like, what is Okada going to do after this? I don't know. I think it might be time. I know I'm picking Okada to win, but it might be time to finally switch it up. This might be the best time to pull the trigger and having Kenny win. I don't feel like Kenny was as hot as he was last year. Maybe because of what he's been doing with the Golden Lovers. Not saying that was not great stuff. The tag team match he had at Long Beach was phenomenal. But I just don't feel he's as hot as he used to be. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going with Okada to win. But maybe they have Kenny pick the win up just to change things up going into the San Francisco show. Maybe have a big match there. Maybe the rematch is there. I don't know. Because selfishly, I'm going to the San Francisco show. I want something big to happen. They haven't announced anything. And I'd be a little disappointed if we just get like a Jay White U.S. title match as the main event of the show, and we just get a bunch of New Japan tag team matches. But as for which match will be the best one out of the three, I mean, all three matches are so differently. I feel like Naito and Jericho is going to tell the best story just because of how great Jericho is in Naito. Ospreay and Takahashi are going to be athletic. They're going to pull off some crazy ass stunts. And then Okada and Omega is kind of the wild card in this because we just don't know what they're going to do. How long is it going to be? Like, do they try to do the WWE thing where they get 2 quick falls right away and like they get 2 falls in like 20 minutes and the next 40 or an hour they're just going after one another? So hopefully, I would be really shocked to see if they do a 2-0 finish with this match. But we will have to see. I love, as I've talked about on the Bulletcast, I like it when they do a 2-0 finish. It's a little bit not downgrading the other person, kind of not a burial, but it just kind of shows that this person was the better person. And with New Japan, it's a sport type promotion. Okada has had Omega's number, but Omega has been tweeting some things about how he's training super hard. He's looking jacked, while Okada's over there just fishing and having fun. But Okada has such natural talent that he doesn't have to train as hard as Omega has to train to get at Okada's level. So I think right now the best match of the show is going to be, I'm going to go with Naito and Jericho, just because it's such a different match. We've been wanting to see this match ever since the New Year's show after Wrestle Kingdom. They held it off for 5 months. We're finally getting it. I think Jericho's motivated to have a match with Naito that's going to steal the show. I'm going to go with that as the best match, but I would not be shocked if Ospreay and Takahashi steal the show as well. It's just being balls to the wall craziness, because Ospreay, we all know, is going to do something that's going to try to kill himself. And one of these days it might. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Okada and Omega, I'm a little scared they're going to try to be a little too ballsy and go forever. But that is it for my Dominion preview. I'm going to stay up in the middle of the night. Show is at midnight Pacific time on Saturday, I guess. So Friday night going into Saturday. That is when it is June 9th. So that is midnight on the West Coast, 3 a.m. on the East Coast, and 8 a.m. for the UK time. It's going to be a great show. I don't know how many other times I can say this. Like, even if the show starts, maybe you can skip the first hour. That's when all the undercard and the tag team matches happen. But definitely, I suggest watching everything from the Evil Sonata Young Bucks match up. So, Evil Sonata versus the Young Bucks, the 6-man tag, junior title, IC title, heavyweight title. Everything's going to be great, especially that Okada-Omega match. You're probably going to be only rested because they're going to go a long time. So thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to follow the Bulletcast and all that other good fun stuff. So that's it for today on Under the Radar. Catch me tomorrow on the regular Bulletcast episode. So thank you guys. Goodbye and good night. Bye. Thank you.